Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. Don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. All I want for Christmas is you.
The Blab.
Listen to me, Santa. I ain't playing round.
Got Mrs. Claus right by my side. She is gagged and bound.
If you wanna see her again, better leave me a brand new Mac 10. I want a gun for Christmas.
You know, when I was a lad, among the lads and ladettes.
A lad?
The lads and ladettes. I used to go every single night when I got to be like late October, early November, saying, Santa, please bring me a fully loaded assault weapon with Maxima magazine, because that was the dream of every young kid back in those days. It's nothing new.
Well, you know.
What a fucked up country. It's the Blab for your not quite Christmas, almost Christmas. I'm Scott Edward Phelps. Dave Simmons is here. On the shoe this week, you say Latino, I say Latina. Let's call the whole thing off. She tried to feed what? With what? We'll talk about that. Dave's going to like that one. How to use that tinsel-covered Tenenbaum to determine if that holiday love affair is the real thing. And, of course, chestnuts roasting, stockings hung, and whack job school kids locked and loaded.
He said nuts.
Holy shit, it's Christmas.
That's right. But first, the freshest headlines, stacked, racked, backed, and put in our amazing package. It's fresh reindeer poop.
The Christmas poo.
These are only semi-new headlines because stuff comes so fast and furious these days. It's really hard to keep up. But I thought, you know,
you're on a roll this morning.
You, me, hey,
He said dick.
I'm just doing it. Yeah, you're the one with the Seminole hang-up. He said Seminole. The DA in charge of the investigation out in Arizona out there says that Alec Baldwin may, in fact, yet face criminal charges. Alec's mistake, I think, of course, was that he discharged a firearm and killed somebody on a movie set.
I think his mistake was doing that interview.
Well, that's the second mistake. However, had he gotten all that shit out of his system on January 6th, he'd be the presumptive favorite for the 2024 Republican nomination right now. CNN ended up firing Chris Cuomo for his involvement with the scandal involving his brother. And CNN, in my humble opinion, did the correct, they did the proper, and they did the right thing. And that's got to be driving the Fox News crowd batshit crazy.
Well, did you somehow you're trying to make this about Fox News and what is going on?
Everything about Fox News.
What's going on over at CNN is they hired a law firm to look deeper into it, and they came up with a totally different allegation. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, there was a sexual harassment.
Yeah, there's another sexual harassment.
You know
thing.
what? My mama gets, and I'm not saying that he didn't, but it's almost becoming now. It's to the point where it's sky's falling. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Citizens arrest. As Gomer runs across the Mayberry Town Square, it's sexual harassment. And the problem with it is that if that continues, if that saturation type stuff continues, then it dilutes the authenticity.
Well, it dilutes the people that actually get sexual
and it makes people
right?
cynical and go, yeah. So, like I just did. Yeah. The Justice Department is suing Texas over redistricting, which for those of you who don't know is more commonly known as gerrymandering, which is even more commonly known as we couldn't win an election fair and square if you deflated every single football. So we're going to keep fucking moving the goalposts, and then naturally nobody will do shit about that, and that's how we'll do the elections in this country. That's third world shit. And I hope the Justice Department kicks Texas's ass, because you know what?
I mean, gerrymandering is a thing that's been going on since the beginning of time, though.
Not like this.
But, you know.
Not like this. And it's moving the goalposts. Well, we need those votes over there, and we need those votes over there. So Donald and his Sharpie.
Let me ask you, how's that different than busing in illegal immigrants that vote? It's how's that any different? They're both doing things.
Two
you know
wrongs,
what I'm saying?
Two wrongs. Dave, that's your new nickname. There you
Two
go.
wrongs?
Two wrongs. Dave Two Wrongs Simmons. Like Johnny Two Times in Goodfellas. I'm going to get the papers.
I'm used to hearing that because, you know, it kind of sounds like two longs, and that's He said big.
It's going to be a long phallic show, folks, so hang in there. But the biggest news of all in the fresh reindeer poop, and I know Dave's going to be as excited about this as I was when I realized it was happening. There is a brand new Billie Eilish album, and there is a brand new single, and as the kids say, it's been dropped from the brand new album. And not only do we have an exclusive excerpt of that single for you right here, but we have an exclusive. She's already done a Christmas remix on that particular single. Let me play this little excerpt for you. This is exciting.
If I'm getting over you, we're just pretending to. Yeah, I'm not coming home for Christmas.
I heard 2 tracks from the album. We've been teasing, and I've, believe it or not, kept the reins a little. I've been trying not to be, me. I'm sorry.
It all sounds the same.
Thank you. And I'm not an old fart fogey guy. Both of us are middle-aged and or senior citizen people, but we're not those, well, you young people and your garbage music. Hell no. But monotonous is monotonous.
Doesn't matter what the age.
All right. Speaking of useless, watch this segue.
We already talked about Chris Cuomo.
New feature. Well, remind me when we get to Chris Cuomo, if you bring it up, and I'm sure that you will. I'm going to throw this clue at you. Come back at me in case I forget.
Okay.
Your mental clue, this should trigger you. When you think Chris Cuomo, remind me by saying Barry Kripke.
Barry Kripke.
And I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay. Little holiday feature, little featurette throughout the show, and then the next couple of shows till Christmas time comes. Kind of like fun facts to know and tell, except we do it in our own unique way around here. We call it a Christmas useless fact.
And now another useless fact.
All right, this is a little kind of an almost riddle, because Dave is so worldly and he knows a whole lot more than something that everybody does, that everybody else does. 150 feet tall, weighs 225 tons, and is the largest Christmas gift ever given. Have any idea what it is?
150 feet tall.
And 225 tons. Weighing in at 200. And I'll give you a hint. 1886.
Statue of Liberty.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Dave, 2 wrongs, Simmons.
2 longs.
2 wrongs. No, you can't be too long. Can't be too long, too thin, or too red. From our friends.
I don't know how many times I've heard, oh, Mr. Dave, you too long.
Don't write me. Don't call me. Don't email me. Don't text me. It's Dave. 2 wrongs, Simmons. Care of the Blab. Yep, Statue of Liberty. Soon to be available for viewing in a museum near you.
I actually read an article about it, and I saw, the boxed up pieces of it, because it was like a puzzle.
Well, it was big.
Yeah, they didn't give it to us fully assembled.
And they didn't have those huge flatboats that they're using to store all those containers out at sea like they are now.
They didn't have those containers that have the U.S. economy out floating around on the ocean.
Well, anything to buy a boat. All right, here's the thing. We've been looking over this for the past few weeks, and I've realized it's hard to pick the big Blab story every week because there's too much shit going on and there's too much big stuff going on all the time. So we tweaked it a little bit to cover our own asses. So what we'll call it is simply the Big Blab. Yep, it's that happy time of year again when wacko school kids are emptying magazines as quickly as they can into their fellow students. I kid, because I care. We can spend as much time or as little time on this as you want to, but I want to talk a little bit about what happened in Michigan, and not in the same old circular, same shit, different day, same shot, different day. This is interesting to me, though, because there is something different about this one. The parents have been charged with voluntary manslaughter.
And they fled.
Well, they were seeking. They were hiding. They said they were afraid for their safety. Damn right, they were afraid for their safety.
But they hid in Detroit. I went through Detroit. I feared for my safety.
Detroit is the murder capital of the world. So
I was afraid the entire time I was in Detroit.
Once again, we circle back to one of SEP's pet peeves. It's the stupid that's going to do us in. Okay, if you're going to hide, anyway, they're in the slammer. But the reason they were indicted in the first place, and I like this county prosecutor. I don't think she's like a DA, but I think it's the same gig up there. Her name is Karen McDonald. She was interviewed, of course, right away saying, well, what about precedent? And what did they do? And what about the kid and the blah, blah, blah? And she said, well, there are certain circumstances in the timeline of what happened that have given us the impetus to do this. And I came across an article in Esquire magazine, and it kind of like hit the high points of what we're talking about. So very quickly, just as backstory, in case you may not have known the details here. The father, James, oh, and by the way, it's the Crumbly family, and the kid, and I'm sure you've seen this in the news, is Ethan Crumbly. And may I just offer, if you were scripting a movie, it's like Charles Dickens wrote this story. Ethan Crumbly is the perfect name for a psychopathic, basement-dwelling, got it? You know, Jack Strong wouldn't, no. Ethan Crumbly.
Yes.
That's right out of Criminal Minds, baby. All right, James Crumbly purchased a 9mm 6 Sauer on November 26th. A store employee confirmed that Ethan was there with him. Then social media posts by him showed up that day saying, just got my new beauty today. The next day, one of the moms, that's Jennifer, those keeping track, her social media post said, Mom and son day testing out his new Christmas present. Mr. Pierce, who's writing the article here, says, does it get worse? Of course it does. The day before the shooting, a teacher at the high school observed him searching for ammunition on his cell phone during class, and she reported it to school officials. The mother was contacted through voicemail and email about that web search. Later, she said, rather the prosecutor said, the mother texted Ethan and said, quote, LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught. Mr. Pierce, does it get worse? Of course it does. The next day, and we're laughing at the situation, not at the tragedy of it. The next day, the day of the shooting, the teen's teacher saw an alarming note on his desk. The note contained a drawing of a semi-automatic handgun, pointing at the words, the thoughts won't stop, help me. She said it also contained a drawing of a bullet with the words blood everywhere, and a drawing of a person who appeared to be shot and bleeding. Both James and Jennifer Crumbly failed to ask their son if he had his gun with him or where his gun was located, failed to inspect his backpack for the presence of the gun, which he had with him. She said the parents resisted taking him out of school and left without him. He was returned to the classroom, whereupon he killed 4 people. Now they're talking about possibly charging some of the people in the school because they were within their rights to check the backpack, but they didn't do so. And I wanted to play something for you real quick. Where the hell is it? Pardon me while I roll through here. Oh, here we go. The sheriff of where they are or whence they are. And by the way, at this broadcast.
What's his name?
I didn't have his name.
Oh, okay.
I missed that.
Barney?
But after Ethan Crumbly, I mean, come on.
Barney Fife?
I don't care if his name. Yeah, I don't care. This guy, we're on his side. The parents and Ethan, the Crumbly family, are in jail in separate cells, and they're all 3 on suicide watch. If only we could be so lucky.
Well, you know, if they're on the same suicide watch that Jeffrey Epstein was, we'll probably be okay.
At which point, if we were tasteless and tacky, I would immediately musically segue into the McCoys doing Hang On Sloopy, but we're not going to do that. Anyway, the sheriff was asked in an initial interview what the situation was with the parents, and this is not parody or anything. This is exactly what he had to say.
They're not talking much to us on a number of levels, obviously sullen, but not a lot of conversation. We have them in my jail, all in separate and segregated spots, keeping a close eye on them.
When you say sullen, elaborate a bit on that. Is there sadness? Sullen indicates to me a level of defiance. I mean, is there any remorse being expressed?
We've not seen any remorse. I don't know whether the sullenness is from being caught or whether it's from other emotions that are going on, but they haven't expressed it to us.
Are they able to see each other and communicate with each other? Are they closely housed? No?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Let's say absolutely not once again, and good for you, Sheriff. But see, now here's my patented thing under the thing. It's not the horrificness of the crime. It's the stupidity of these 2 ooze dwellers. It's and she used the word sullen, or he said sullen, and she said defiance. And basically what I call that is apathetic selfishness. It's that same shit that we're living everywhere we turn these days.
Yep.
It's that, Yeah, I did it. So what? What the fuck? What do you care? Well, what's it to you? Kind of thing. And boy, if you'd have told me when I was 20 years old and I was one of those, I wasn't really weird about it, but I was more inclined to be a kumbaya, Kennedy-esque, peace and love, ask not what your country can do for you kind of guy. Right. With dreams of hope for our future. Okay. If you'd have said to me that in 40 years I'd be a guy who'd say, you know what? And I say this with, I'm not all worked up. You know, I'm just saying calmly and saying, okay, jail, that's without question. Me, I'd put him in a fucking chair and flip the switch, and I'd cry like I'd sleep like a baby. You know, it's enough already. There's just people that don't need to be alive on this planet.
Oh, well, there's always been people that have.
There are way too many now. People.
Yeah, I think the numbers are greater now.
And they're getting away with it now in that sense of, you know, at least people like that used to hide their shit.
Yeah. There is a problem, but I don't know that there is a solution.
Oh, there's a solution. It's a solution. You know what? And nobody's going to use it. I told you that story about how I gave the suggestion to the company folk one time how to be shoplifting. Yeah. And I said, and when they all laughed at first, thought I was joking, but I said, I'm not kidding. And they went like, oh, collectively. And I said, I'm not talking about mass slaughter. You'd only have to kill one. Okay. It's like the old joke about the kids in the dinner table and the swearing and all that. Remember that joke?
Oh, I told you?
Yeah. That's just what I call this syndrome. I call it I don't want no fucking potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to legislate stuff like this, Scott. And that's the problem, I think, with it, because you can't legislate crazy. You can't legislate apathy. You see what I'm saying? You can legislate consequences for actions. Well, you can do that, but most of these people, when they go in these shooting sprees, they expect to be killed while they're doing it.
Well,
you see what I mean?
Some do. I don't know what the numbers bear out, but this to me doesn't sound like that. This sounds to me like a couple of lowlifes who just. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with this woman? And I'm asking rhetorically. When she texted this kid and said,
"Don't get caught." Yeah, that's.
You know what? That happened to me. I mean, I didn't have a gun or anything. 1970s, I was 20-ish. I was working in a grocery store, and we caught a kid. Young kids stealing a carton of cigarettes out of the big rack where you used to be able to keep them. And this was back in the days when carton of cigarettes was only $10.
Right.
So it wasn't like, stealing Fort Knox. But we caught him, and when we called his mother, and his mother said, what are you calling me for? I said, we've got your son here. He tried to steal a carton of cigarettes. What? I'll be right there. You hang on to him. And this was 1970 now with that morals and that culture. Right. And she came barreling in that store, and I was like the assistant manager or something. Where is he? I said, we kept him in the back in the little room where the iron, the metal doors swing. Our little break room here.
Right.
Trying to scare him a little bit. Your mom's coming. And we hope we don't have to call the cops and all in yards. And she came barreling in there, and she picked that kid up. Kid couldn't have been more than 8 or 9, 10 years old. Picked him up by the collar and almost lifted him right off the ground because she was quite a healthy, handsome woman, if you know what I'm saying. She picked him up, and she said, what did you steal? And he said, carton of canned cigarettes, and she palmed up and smacked that kid, pow, right on the face, and got right down in his face and said, you little bastard, you know I smoke Marlboro. So that kind of parenting is not particularly...
That sounds like a good parent, though.
It's not. That kind of parenting is not new, but it's pervasive in our culture.
Right.
And there's the problem. So if you could wave a magic wand, or if you were given the gavel and you could call the sentencing, whatever you wanted to do with these people, what would you do?
Sentencing, the kid's a minor, right?
He's 15.
15. Yeah, shit, fry him. The kid that did the killing, fry him, make the parents watch, and then put them in jail the rest of their lives.
There you go. I'm on board.
Sound pretty good?
I'm on board.
Yeah.
See there? I want that noted, by the way, 19 minutes into this episode for the week of December 8th, and Dave Two Wrongs Simmons and I actually totally agree on something. Let's have some more of Dave. Yeah, they're still following. What's up?
A party in England, 60 people got locked, and they were all strangers. It wasn't like a pre-planned party. They got stranded inside the Tan Hill Inn in Yorkshire, England, because of a blizzard, heavy snowfall.
Snowed in.
Several feet of snow blocked the doors. They couldn't even open the doors. And so the patrons, along with an Oasis cover band, slept, ate, and rocked in a pub for 3 days. That sounds like fun, doesn't it?
I'm not sure I could bear up under 3 days of Oasis, but yeah, sure.
Well, I'm sure they had to keep repeating their set list.
A medley of their hit.
Oh, Lord. But
well, you meet the nicest people when you can't go
when you're
anywhere,
snowed in.
when
Yeah.
you're snowed in.
I don't know if you saw this after the Kyle Rittenhouse decision by the jury.
And somebody, by the way, memed casually and carefully this week, why the hell isn't Kyle Rittenhouse's mother in jail?
That's a
In
good
line.
question.
There
That's
you go.
some poor parenting.
There you go.
But after the decision by the jury, Best Buy and Levi Strauss hired racial trauma specialists to counsel those distressed over the verdict. What fucking kind of world do we live in where somebody can't you can't watch something on TV and you're so upset you can't work? Answer me, Scott, please.
I'm about to do my Madeline Kahn in Blazing Saddles impression for you. I'm tired.
But have you ever heard anything like that?
Yeah, in America in the year 2021, we're a candy ass country, and the reason we're a candy ass country is because we have too fucking much freedom. Too many people who don't deserve it have it. Number one, and that breeds the culture, and then we go back once again. And I didn't make it up because I thought it was cool. I honestly believe in it. We come to the patented 4-generation theory. You've got sense, kind of poignant, given this week is the anniversary of the Pearl Harbor thing on December the 7th, 1941. So many of this nation don't know or care because they don't know what sacrifice is, what courage is, what strength of character is. The fuck, they don't even have any character. And it's really hard. Believe it or not, I'm conflicted. Cynic that I am, in my heart of hearts, I'm conflicted because I really want to find those things that say, and I try to do that. If you look at my posting pages and blog pages, you'll see a lot of, me. And I don't mean pictures. I mean my stuff, the kind of attitude that I spew when we're doing this thing. But you'll also find the good stuff. You'll find that picture of did you see the picture of the polar bear mama who was,
yeah.
Yeah, the little cub was holding
on
that
the leg,
And I don't do that to be a Pollyanna. I think that was cute. I think it was sweet. I think,
it was.
I'm a loving fucking sweet guy, okay? But it's really hard to find those things because of the flood of the other stuff. And my conflict comes in the form of if I go too far in the effort to not share that stuff or give insider perspective on that stuff as best I can and do more of come on, guy, do more of the positive stuff. To me, that's phony.
Right.
It's just Pollyanna bullshit. And it's the equivalent of sticking your head in the sand and saying, well, everything's fine down here. My problem was trying to figure out where to find the balance between the two. And it's hard, man. I try.
Well, when I was a freshman in high school, one of the kids that went to school with us killed his father and shot himself. He was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
We didn't have counseling. We didn't have
no.
No. I mean, basically, it was like if you scrape your knee, wipe that shit off, get back to work.
Put some, what was it? Is it Chris Rock used to do the Robitussin?
Oh, yeah.
Put some tussin on it.
Tussin, or Joe Coy, the Filipino guy, said Vicks Vapor Rub in the Philippines. I guess that fixes everything.
I got a bullet wound here, Grandpa.
Put some
tussin on it. Yeah, exactly.
But
and this goes to my point. Character, and this once again, and I promise I won't do more than 10 seconds in this direction. This once again is the concept of Trump and concept of Trumpism that offends me and enrages me the most. Is that it's taking that concept, lack of character, and not only defending it, but somehow putting a celebratory spin on it, like it's something to be proud of.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's when I talk about the poison being spilled into the stream, that's the poison I'm talking about. And so many people, it's hard not to paint the brush. So many people are drinking that poison. And case in point, it's not, oh my God, I can't believe my kid did that. Okay.
Just don't get caught.
They did everything but load the fucking gun for him.
Yeah.
So fry him. They're gone. As far as I'm concerned, I say put all 3 of them in the damn chamber and flip the switch. End of story. And maybe somewhere down the line, it's like, I know I've shared this before because I remember it from a long time ago, and this was 30, 40 years ago. Japan had an extraordinary heroin addiction problem. And they passed legislation down there that said, okay, here's the deal. You get caught on the street with heroin, or you get caught on the street in a heroin-induced, et cetera, wham, you go into our specially padded cells that we've created. You go cold turkey. There's no trial. There's no nothing. You go in, and that's it. And throw those motherfuckers in there and pad them up, lock them up, and then in 3 days, we'll go in there and see if you're still alive. And if they survived the withdrawal, then they dealt with it after the fact. Literally, within like 90 days, the addiction rate, the heroin rate in that country dropped like 62% because I don't want no fucking potatoes.
Right. And we in the United States are opening fucking injection sites.
And you're right, and I agree with you. I did though find that little paragraph that said they're not providing the drugs. They have Narcan available if it's necessary for overdosing purposes. But basically, it's just a rest stop on the highway of love where they can go in and inject instead of doing it in a dirty alley. In that sense, I would be able to make the case for humanitarian kind of stuff, and then let's deal with the addiction problem as hardcore as we really need to. But they're not. It's important that there's no misunderstanding.
I think we do the China way. We don't fuck them.
We don't fuck them. I don't fuck them. I don't know about you.
No. I mean, we don't.
I understand.
The main problem in America is we're an enabling country. We enable so much bullshit.
That's just the $5, very classic, good for you thesaurus way of saying what I've been saying for weeks, months now, is that it's not about not having enough freedom or the right freedoms in this country. There's too goddamn much freedom. So it's like giving the kid, it's like not giving your teenager any rules or regulations at all.
Right.
Or even worse, if they act out against the rules, you just go, oh, well, gosh darn it, that's just teenageness.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, crazy. And one final thing, Kathy Griffin, you remember her?
I do.
She used to have a career. Kathy Griffin showed fans that she's getting into the holiday spirit early when she took to Twitter she shared a photo of herself smiling broadly as she posed next to her Fuck Donald Trump Christmas tree. Has she learned nothing?
No. But I hasten to add in that regard, and this is the problem. This is the thing. This pitting one against the other. She is. Everybody needs to knock it off.
Yes.
Okay. But in the old tried and true, and I'm sure you must have heard this at some point during your childhood. I know I did, maybe several times, or maybe you were the one who said it. Well, he started it. Okay. And in that case, this business of talking about people like that, talking to people like that, I lay at the feet of the orange idiot, because that's where that shit went mainstream.
Yeah.
All right. It's speaking of that spirit, it's time to give away a stick.
Way up high in the Christmas tree, I saw one candy cane looking at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came that candy cane. And it was good. Uh-oh. Ouch! Ow! Ow!
Is that a candy cane up your ass, or are you just glad to see me? Got to watch out for those chocolate candy canes too, because you never know. You got a peppermint stick this week?
I do, and it's.
Tell me it's no.
I have a love-hate relationship with her.
It's Kamala.
No, that's a hate relationship. AOC again.
She's a kid.
That poor girl.
She's a kid.
Well, this week, she alleged that the smash and grab lootings are not happening. Her exact quote was, "A lot of these allegations of organized retail theft are not actually panning out." Despite there's, videos of people doing that. But
well, context is important here, and I'm not arguing with you. I'm just spiritedly debating with you. What is, is she dismissing it in its entirety? Is she saying that it's exaggerated? Is she saying what is she really saying?
The headline of the article that I read, and it was CNBC, and it said AOC in denial about the smash and grab looting. So, and that was her quote. A lot of these allegations of organized retail theft are not actually panning out. And I'm going to piggyback her, kind of a little threesome here for the stick of the week.
He's been waiting to say that.
Julian Glover. She's a social justice reporter.
Yeah.
in San Francisco says it is wrong to use the word looting instead of robbery or theft because looting connotates people of color. Can you believe the shit that's going on, Scott?
You know, it's amazing because you and I don't compare notes during the week, and you come in fresh, I come in fresh, and we're both equally fresh and feminine hygiene and all that shit. But it's amazing that because I want to do this in that because that segues perfectly, unintentionally and unknowingly, that segues perfectly to my particular award for the stick of the week this week, the peppermint stick of the week. We're talking about. You've heard of Game Changers. My peppermint stick this week goes to the demographic or the group of whatever they are that I call name changers. Okay, and this is the latest. Mostly Democratic politicians and activists, from what the information I could find, are using it, and they've polled Hispanic voters, finding that the word doesn't resonate with them at all. And you may or may not be aware of this new word. Latino, you're familiar with. Latina, you're familiar with. Mm-hmm. And now we have Latinx. Latinx. Latinx.
Sounds like a laxative.
Thank you. This is exactly what I said when I heard the word. It is created, where's the words here? Latinx was created as a gender-neutral alternative to Latino or Latina. It's seen growing use among mostly progressive and center-left politicians and organizations, academics, and corporations. Gee, what were the chances? And is more common among younger and more progressive people from Hispanic backgrounds. However, it's not widely used in their community. A number of notable Hispanics. Are you familiar with Ana Navarro?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
She weighed in on this. I saw her tweet. And she's pretty blunt. I like her. She's got she's spunk. And she didn't use any unfair or unsuitable for family words, but essentially her tone was, please. Fucking please. There's so much shit that needs to be done and dealt with and problems that we genuinely, for the love of God, can we stop with this bullshit? And I just offer, I give them, anybody who's into this Latinx, and, you know, Dave definitely swooped my punchline right out from under me because that's exactly what I said to myself when I went, Latinx. But I got to tell you, the reason I discovered it was I saw the word in print and I went, well, now how is that pronounced? Is it pronounced Latinx?
Right.
Or Latinx, or so I went to Google and typed in pronounce Latinx, and I found this cool British voice. I don't know why it's British. Came up and said, and gave me this 30-second preface as to what it was and how it was, and I'm like, thank you. How do I pronounce the fucking word? And it was, and it's pronounced Latinx. And I said, I took that for constipation.
Yes, it's sad. But I just think that. This Julian Glover, you know, it's not wanting people to use the word looting. I mean, you're naturally going to connect looting to people of color via the Black Lives Matter riots.
Well, that
you know what I mean?
Goes farther back than that.
But I know. Well, it goes the Watts riots. Yeah. But I'm saying, but I mean, why is everybody in denial of things that are basically true?
No. I don't think it's denial. And I think we've talked about this a lot. I think this is another example of what I've shared when I've said it's busy work.
Yeah,
when you can't solve the problem that's in front of you that critically needs to be solved, you go looking for little minuscule dipshit stuff that doesn't.
You come
mean
up
anything.
with the word Latinx.
Look at there! I have made my contribution to the racial gender bias thingy, you know, and da da da. It's just like, you know, please.
You say Jesus, I say Jesus.
That's right.
Yeah.
You say Taco Bell, I say Kentucky Fried. All right, let's do some rim shots.
Okay, that's enough for this week.
On a flight, Dave's going to like this one. On a flight from Syracuse to Atlanta, flight attendants found a woman trying to breastfeed her hairless cat. I don't have pussy up here.
He said dick.
She said she had the cat all bundled up like a baby. Her shirt was up, and the cat was screaming bloody murder. Yes, the woman was on a Delta flight, and no, clearly the cat was not ready when she was. Oh my God, man.
Those noisy vaginas.
I got to tell you something. All due respect, all due respect to first responders, law enforcement officers, all those people, health of people who put their lives literally in jeopardy every single day. But flight attendants
God.
are rapidly becoming a group of people that deserves just as much consideration, and because you're trapped at 30,000 feet with these fucking psychos and all these people who are beating up on each other and just.
Did you see the video or the news story about the one flight attendant that the passenger was giving him a hard time and he duct taped him to the chair?
Yeah. See, once again,
that guy's my hero.
This goes into the new patented thing we were talking about, though. We're kind of putting together our own advanced, I don't want to say punishment program, but consequences program.
Yes.
Fuck that duct tape shit.
Throw him out the door.
Damn right. Wrap him up, cocoon that sonner, and boom, right out the thing. Clint Hill, soon to be 90 years old. He's the former Secret Service agent who ran to the Kennedy car in Dallas that day in 1963. He has married his 57-year-old co-author, Lisa McCubbin.
Nice.
Good for you, Clint,
Nice.
in your advancing years. A planned wedding prank was scrapped when McCubbin decided not to crawl out of the back seat and onto the trunk of the happy couple's limousine. And don't email me or give me shit. It's been almost 60 years, okay? I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny. Actually, that wasn't what you were supposed to hear. What you were supposed to hear on the punchline was this. Oh, shut up. All right, America has been named the world's 4th drunkest country after Denmark, Finland.
Ireland.
No, actually not.
Not?
Finland or Ireland was like number 5.
Wow.
Number 1 might surprise you. Australia.
Well, yeah.
Crikey. Well, they're down there with all by themselves.
They like to drink that Foster's.
That's it. Still, the survey was done this year, which is an off year for elections. So let's see if America can't zoom to the top of that chart next year. El Paso County in Texas, the sheriff's office is on the shit list for posting a tweet showing Santa applying for a concealed carry permit. On our theme, fa la 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 bang bang bang. Bad taste and or insensitivity aside, you want to be careful, kids, to stay on the nice and not naughty side, because obviously jolly old St. Nicholas is packing, baby.
Hey, maybe that's the whole consequences thing. Start them early.
And you better do better than milk and cookies, motherfucker, because I'll tell you what. Say milk and cookies one more time. All right. Now is the time in the show that everybody looks forward to when Dave and I stop rambling about things of which we have little or no knowledge, and we talk about shit we know. It's time for Toon Talk.
Want something peppy, something happy, something up-tempo, something snappy.
1, 2, 3, 5. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Thank you, Paul, very much. I got a kind of a goofy fun thing here, just a little bitty thing. I don't know whether you're aware of it or not. If you've watched, Dave and I talked about this last week, the Beatles documentary, Get Back, Peter Jackson's monumental piece of work there. There's a guy who's in pretty much every scene with the Beatles.
Mal Evans.
Mal Evans.
Yeah.
Mal was really the 5th Beatle.
Yes, and he was with them from the beginning.
He was their gopher. He was their secretary. He was their
road
guy.
manager.
And I'll tell you who he reminds me of physically. If you say and just cross my
Peter
mind.
Griffin.
No, actually, think about this. If he had a beard, okay, Bert on The Big Bang Theory, the big geology guy.
yeah.
How you doing? Everything's good. Okay, I'm gonna get that for you. Anyway. A biography of Mal Evans is coming out in 2023. I don't have information on who's writing it, but it's
based on his diaries.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating too. Do you know the end of the story with Mal Evans?
Oh yeah. He was killed by the police.
Yeah, he had mental issues later in his, and it was
76,
long.
I think.
Yeah, 76, which is only 6 or 7 years after the footage that you're seeing in the documentary. But it was, let's see, where was it that I wrote that down? January 5th, 76, he was despondent because his wife had left him and he had some other kind of financial problems or something. And the co-writer of this biography asked the co-writer to come over and visit, and the guy said he saw Evans really doped up and groggy, but to make sure that he finished, he helped him up to a bedroom, but during the conversation, Evans picked up an air rifle. And they struggled, but Evans was a big guy, so he held onto the weapon, so Hughes called the police to try to get things calmed down, and they showed up, and one thing led to another.
I think the author told the police he had an air rifle. I don't think the police even thought that, but he was just so out of control crazy. They killed him.
Yeah. killed him dead. So I'm sure that's going to be quite the buzzkill at the end of the book, but it's going to be fascinating stuff because this was the guy who was there
inside
for everything.
Yeah. Well, he's the one who was banging on Maxwell's anvil. He got a big
kick out of that.
Yeah.
He liked being part of
the other one. You can hear his voice on A Day in the Life.
That's right.
He was counting.
Good for you. There was where was it? This was all in small print, so I didn't know type that stuff. He started blah 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 blah, blah where the rain comes in. Blah, blah, blah. He did that anyway. Yeah, it's going to be out, but it's not until 2023. But put that on your Christmas list because I'm sure that'll be fascinating reading, and it'll probably come. If McCartney gets his hands on it, it'll probably come in a 7-volume set with 7,000 pictures and cost $140. But if not, I bought that set by the way, the lyrics, Paul McCartney lyrics.
Yeah, you said it's pretty good.
It's okay. I'll give it the full review when I'm finished, but there's a pattern running. So that to me is like kind of cool. Mal Evans.
Yeah, I went and saw Genesis Thursday, the Last Domino tour.
Yeah, you did.
The farewell.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good.
They gave Phil Collins a sitting ovation.
Phil is frail. He's very frail, but the voice is still there. The voice is there. He sat through the entire show, and he walked with a cane out to the seat.
What is his malady? Is he
something with his spine?
Okay,
I don't know the specifics, but yeah. They paid the proper amount of respect to Peter Gabriel. I mean, they did some of the early Genesis stuff. You know, where Phil was just the drummer.
Right.
His son Nick Collins did a fantastic job drumming. You know. He covered all of his father's drum parts, and you know, the band was really good. It was a career spanning show that you know they played all the hits.
Yeah,
you know, so it was good. It was really. I don't know how many more shows they have. I think they were in New York.
Is this being billed as the farewell tour?
Yeah, it's called The Last Domino. And dude, looking at Phil Collins, they're not. He's not going out on the road again.
Well, you never know.
You know?
I mean, you know, they die with their boots on.
You know, I almost get the feeling that. You know, the son drumming is one of the reasons he's out on the road because his son's 20.
Okay.
But I get the feeling
that he's out on the road. Why?
Touring with the band. Well, there was a whole thing with Van Halen, with Eddie Van Halen. That's why Michael Anthony was thrown out of the band.
Okay.
He wouldn't have done those last Van Halen tours if his son wasn't in the band.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
So I think, you know, because Chester Thompson was the other drummer for Genesis the entire span from when Phil went up front and Peter Gabriel left, and he's not, you know, they didn't have him on this tour. They brought, you know, Nick Collins, who did a great job.
You know, you may not know this, but I know this because of my years in Nashville. Did you know that Mel Tillis wrote one of Phil Collins and Genesis' biggest hits?
Which one?
Studio.
That's a good one.
I just made that up.
That is a good one.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, excellent show.
Good for you.
You know, went with Dean and Dale, and just had a great time.
Mike, Dean, and Dale.
Dave. Mike didn't go.
Mike, Dave. Mike. Where did I come from, Mike? I'm old and confused.
Yes.
All right, here's one for you. 55 years ago this week, December 3rd to be precise, they made their first live appearance in Hawaii.
The Monkees.
Of course you'd know that.
I knew that.
Do you know why they did it in Hawaii?
When I tell you that I did, and I think I might have forgotten why, I think... No,
you sound like a Republican now.
Yeah. No,
I may not know the answer, but when you tell me, I'll say, yeah, I knew that.
I think they wanted it far enough out of the U.S. in case the band was terrible.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I thought that as charming as all giddy up. And that just goes to show you, this was still, it wasn't like 1842. It was 1966. Mm-hmm. And yet the consensus was that since it was over in Hawaii, if they sucked, that the mainland may not hear about it.
Right.
Because yes, youngsters, believe it or not, there was a time.
I saw some photos like then and today of the venue that they played.
Yeah.
And literally that venue looks like, have you been to the little concert pavilion at Hershey Park in Pennsylvania? It's like a little sunken thing with like a tent top.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that arena looked like. You know, it looks like on an off day they could have a cattle sale in there.
They didn't really know then because the Monkees weren't the Monkees. They were like the Monkees.
Right.
And that's what they were doing. It was kind of like the version of what they, when you say that they, when you hear the expression off Broadway or on the road or on, what is it they call it? Previews. There's an old term for it. I guess they still do it. When they create a Broadway play, they take it to smaller places like up in New England or somewhere, and they test it. They run the play in little playhouses. You see what works and doesn't work.
Summer stock.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or, before they take it to Broadway and run the
right.
potential of embarrassing themselves. But yeah, that's exactly why they did it over there, just in case.
Well,
smart move. But.
And that very first tour, I think they took an opening band on the road with them, and I can't remember.
Well, let's see.
The name of the band.
It says here, from the information I gleaned, there's your word for this week, kids, look it up. During the 66 Honolulu show, the Monkees performed solely as a four-piece band, with Dolenz on drums, Nesmith on the guitar, Torx on bass, organ, and banjo, and Jones alternating between tambourine, maracas, and drums, the ever-present percussionist. The show's producers had them play in the out-of-the-way destination, hoping if they flopped, that news would be slow to travel to the mainland.
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, I think maybe it was the Sunny Side something, or it had a weird name.
Yeah.
But they were the opening act on the first tour, and then they would, like, when each of the Monkees did their solo thing, like Peter would come out with a banjo and do something. Davey came out and did a show tune. Mike Nesmith came out and did one of the songs he wrote, one of the country songs, and then Mickey would do like a James Brown thing. But they had this band back them for their solo spots.
Oh, okay, yeah.
In the middle of the concert.
Well, that happens nowadays.
Yeah.
In small measure anyway.
And then you know who the opening act on that 67 tour was?
I don't.
Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Fresh out of the Army, wasn't he?
Well, no.
Relatively fresh out of the Army.
He just had come, he'd fresh off of Monterey Pop. Mickey Dolenz saw him at Monterey Pop where he burned his guitar.
I'm going to be pitching NPR on the idea of putting together a show solely with Dave. We'll call it Dave Two Wrong Simmons Presents. Because, you're a walking encyclopedia. I mean, I know a lot of shit because I just know a lot of shit, but you're right up there in the echelon. And I've lived like 15 years longer, so you'd think I'd know more, but not necessarily. But, at least about some things.
Yeah, that's cool, though. I didn't realize that was the anniversary.
That's the anniversary. Hey, look, it's time for another useless fact.
And now another useless fact.
The two most popular days of the year to propose marriage: Christmas Eve and
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
An average of 100,000 proposals takes place during the Christmas season. I would have thought like Valentine's Day.
Well, now you got the tree for the backdrop. I mean,
it's
for the
a lovely
pictures.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see.
Proposing on Christmas Day as kind of a lovely gift. But I got to tell you, when I read that, I said I wanted to share this because I'm someone. Well, let me just put it this way: as someone who has a smattering of ex-wives, let me share with you guys this insight. A gift card to Chipotle is very thoughtful also, and it doesn't end up sucking the life or the bank account out of you. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
You don't have to keep putting money on the card until the kids are 18.
That's right. And then after, if you don't have a good lawyer. This is all I'm saying.
Oh, that's too funny.
Now it's time for one more dip in the toe of the politics, and we do it under such a pleasurable circumstances where Dave can just distract himself with Dave's elevator music. Yeah, everybody needs to look at this stuff. All this out. All right, I'm going to hit it and quit it. I'm not going to get into a long harangue. I'm just going to share with you what I made the notes in my notes this week. Here you go. If you're because I posted this actually word for word online the other day. If you're unclear or you're uncertain as to what is about to happen with the Supreme Court dealing with the abortion issue, and if you're not hip to what I'm talking about, look it up. There's a case in front of them now that's going to have a major impact on it. Here's the sum up that sums it up. And this came from a Washington Post op-ed reporting on an on-air conversation that was held not too long ago between Fox News's paragon of intelligence, Laura Ingraham, and Cancun's favorite son, Eduardo Cruz. And I'm quoting from that episode. Quote, she said, Laura Ingraham, if we have 6 Republican appointees on this court after all the money that's been raised, the Federalist Society, all those big fat cat dinners, I'm sorry, I'm pissed about this. If this court with 6 justices cannot do the right thing here, then Republicans should just blow the court up and pass some kind of law limiting the court's authority, unquote. To which Cruz responded, quote, I'd do that in a heartbeat, unquote. Let me translate that for you. In other words, we bought this court and we better get what we paid for. I hope that clears up any confusion. Two other quick notes. David Perdue is going to run for governor in Georgia. He's a Republican. The current governor of Georgia is a Republican, but his name is Brian Kemp, and he didn't suck Donald's dick. So you got Perdue running in the primary against him. Let me explain something to you. I promise I'll say this in 60 seconds, and we won't harangue on it for 10 minutes. I'm saying that to my son, who's already rolling his eyes.
He's already turned the channel.
There he goes. Now he hangs in there unless I give him. I guess I give him a kind of a promise that I'll keep it to a minimum. I'm just telling you this. Believe me now, believe me later. And I don't know how it pans out, but I'm telling you what's happening. Donald Trump is doing everything he has in his power with all the resources he can find to put loyalists in places that will be key in the election of 2024. And if he runs, which he will, and if he loses, which he very might, that won't matter because he'll have those resources in place to throw the election process into chaos. Like every great criminal mastermind, with criminal masterminds who want to take advantage of a circumstance being loyal to him, what happens is this. January 6th, the election of 2020, and January 6th, that whole scenario, it failed. They won't fail the second time. They've had their trial run. He knows what he's doing. Again.
Donald Trump knows what he's doing.
The narcissistic sociopath, to get what the narcissistic sociopath wants, is capable, sometimes even brilliantly, of creating strategy or bringing the right people in to create strategy to make something work that didn't work the first time. Plus, he's a master at evading consequences for anything. I'm just saying. And, for all the jokes we make about me and my bents and our particular political philosophies, I'm not a Chicken Little the sky's falling kind of guy. I get passionate or angry about shit a lot, but that's just the passion of it all. I'm not like, citizens arrest in a panic. I'm simply telling you very calmly, he's putting the pieces in place to make this happen. Ignore that shit at your own peril. But let me throw in one little tiny postscript to this. This is from a statement that he issued this past weekend. And I share this by way of reiterating what I've shared 1,000 times. And being this, Republicans, in other words, any other party but the Democrats for that matter, Donald Trump, really? This is all you got? This is your best and your brightest? Quote, Donald Trump, quote, anybody that doesn't think there wasn't massive election fraud in the 2020 presidential election is either very stupid or very corrupt, unquote. Let me run that past you one more time. Pay close attention to the grammar. Anybody that doesn't think there wasn't massive election fraud in the 2020 presidential election is either very stupid or very corrupt. Every English teacher on the planet wants to hurt somebody right now. Kids, that's what's known, and the smart ones in class are going, ooh, call on me. It's called a double negative. Anybody that doesn't think there wasn't means anybody that thinks there was.
Right.
He's basically calling his own supporters stupid or corrupt, but he's not. He's just illiterate. He's an ignorant, illiterate sack of shit. You want to replace Joe? Hey, give us something we can work with. But come at me with Trump or anybody else with Trump, and this indicates the quality of what you're talking about. Nothing. And he's putting the loyalists in place. End of sermon. You want to comment on that?
I still don't think he's running, to be honest with you.
See. I simply don't think he can avoid I don't think he can avoid the limelight.
Well, his former chief of staff said he's not running. That was headlines 3 days ago.
Well,
yeah.
Well, as Ronald Reagan was
I think he's just fundraising and taking people's money now.
I think he's doing that now. I simply think when push comes to shove and crunch comes to crap, that he can't not watch the double negatives. He can't he can't not do it. And I think he will convince, like OJ convinced himself that he didn't kill anybody.
Right.
He will convince himself that he knows how to pull off what he wasn't able to pull off in 2020. And he's got, you know what? Here's the bottom line of it all. And think about this and ponder it. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. He doesn't really have anything else to live for. He's in his 70s, okay? He's probably in criminal jeopardy somewhere, somehow, somewhere along the way. He's never going to be the Donald, the fun celebrity. That's done.
Yeah, he's too polarizing for that.
He can't go back to whence he came. So what's he got? And he's not going to just retire to Boca, okay, or Marley Ego for that matter. So, mark my words.
I don't know. I still don't think he's going to run.
Well, we'll find out. Let's go to, you got a holiday hearth this week?
I don't have a holiday.
You got anything over there you can shove in the hearth?
Yeah, I got something I can shove in the hearth.
Well, let's do the hearth.
Let me stand next to your fire. Hey, let me stand next to your fire.
This is where Dave gets all warm and fuzzy with holiday stuff, or just kind of makes it up because, you know.
Now, this has nothing to do with the holidays.
It's okay.
Did you see where the Jussie Smollett trial started?
Well, that's certainly festive and festive. I did, and I, you know, the headline said something about he partied and masturbated with the other guy, and I'm like, you know what? Anybody who knows me will tell you I'm totally pro masturbation, but I'm so fucking sick of the slimy shit being front and center. No pun intended.
Well, they actually, the Chicago Tribune reported that they actually have a video of him doing a dry run of his. No, this was in the opening statement of the prosecution.
I'm not laughing at you.
I mean, he did a dry run of his fake incident.
Oh, I thought you were going to say dry run of the masturbation.
No, not of the masturbation.
How the hell do you do that?
No. The Tribune somehow obtained surveillance video from the area where he actually did it. Well, he's an actor. He had to practice.
Right.
He is truly, I mean, he's Fredo. I'm smart. That may be the dumbest person on the face of this earth.
Oh, I wouldn't give him that distinction, but yeah, he's right up there. He deserves to be in the graduating class.
But do you believe that shit?
What do you want from me?
And the other thing, I saw you post something about this, and I was gonna reply, but I didn't want to get into a whole internet thing. I don't.
Well, you and I don't do that.
No, not with you.
We talk about it
with
later.
all the
other
people
idiots?
the other idiots that.
I'm sorry, other people.
Ron DeSantis announced that he's going to try
military.
No, it's not a military. It's,
everything.
It's a state guard.
Yeah. Okay. Military and structure.
But basically, this was his statement. We want to make sure we have the flexibility and the ability needed to respond to events in our state in the most effective way possible. And some of that will require us to be able to have access and to be able to use support in ways that are not encumbered by the federal government.
I don't have any problem with him. I don't have any problem with the premise, the bedrock basic premise of what he's talking about. And I understand what he's talking about. My concern, and I'm not up in arms about it. I've just got an eyebrow arched and I'm going, oh, okay, let's see what you got in mind. The knee-jerkers and the Chicken Little people immediately went to
fascists,
SS, Gestapo, secret police, all the rest of that. Is there the potential for something like that in this circumstance? Of course there is, because there could be. That's anybody in any situation.
Right.
If you look at the choices that are available. Is that where he's headed? I don't know. I hope not. I'm not judging either way. I'm saying, okay, I'm listening now. Let's see what you got.
Well, he's going to reestablish it. They had a Florida State Guard years ago. So he's reestablishing it. And basically he said they would act as a civilian volunteer force of up to 200 people that can assist the National Guard in state-specific emergencies.
You know what the thing under the thing is with that? And I also didn't further post any more after that. I just put that up. And it was this, my famous things under the things. What he's doing, not on purpose, but what he's doing unintentionally and inadvertently, I'm an adverb festival this week, is proving something that I've been saying for a long time, which is a totally radical idea for people, and they go, what? I can't, but I stand by it. The time has come to seriously evaluate what would be required to get rid of the federal government / state government's thing. In other words, this country, part of the reason this country is so fucked up is because it tries, even earnestly, but badly, to serve two masters.
Yeah,
states in charge, feds in charge, states in charge. And it happens. Think about this week as you're watching. You're going to go, wow, that damn SAP is not as, occasionally he says something that makes sense. Even something, I'm thinking of an example, like how many cop shows have you ever seen where I saw it on NCIS like 3 episodes this past week. We watch a lot of reruns now of NCIS. where NCIS, the naval criminal, et cetera, is doing the thing, and the FBI shows up and it's like, no, it's our case. No, it's our case. No, and I said, right there's your fucking metaphor.
Yeah.
The federal government, the states. The federal government, the states. What he's saying is, I don't want to be bothered with the federal government. I don't want my state to be bothered with the federal government. Okay, fine. We need to get rid of one or the other. And if we have to have something like the federal government, make that the gang that takes care of the foreign affairs shit.
Right.
That's what's going on.
Well, I found this interesting. I did a little search to see who also has volunteer state guards, and it's a number: Alaska, Maryland, California, Georgia, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, New Mexico, New York, and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the premise.
And I tell you where it went off the rails for the crazies, because Sarah Silverman chimed in. Sarah Silverman said,
I always go to Sarah for my political insights.
She was, believe it or not, the common sense in this. She took to Twitter to defend DeSantis and said, she said, please read the article before you post. The truth has to matter.
Yeah, well,
so
we can't be bothered with things like the truth.
But everybody was saying he's a fascist and it's Nazis, and
it could be construed and functioned that way if that's where he wanted to take it, is all I'm saying. I'm not saying but it's wrong to jump to that conclusion. It's equally wrong to be dismissive of the possibility. This is how you keep check on things to make sure that they behave themselves.
Right.
In those situations. Oh, look, we got time real quick.
But
for
the thing is, nobody screamed when all these other states happened. But because it's Ron DeSantis,
God
and
is
everybody
great,
hates Florida.
God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy.
Yeah.
And now another useless fact.
All right. Last but not least, and then we got to go more.
You just described our entire show.
We do, we can. I wouldn't call it useless.
The Blab, useless facts.
Pointless. The largest snowflake ornament ever, created by Universal Studios in Japan. This is cool. 10 feet, 5 inches tall. Snowflake ornament. Now, the largest snowflake, meanwhile, I'm not exactly sure who, but I'm reasonably sure that they watch CNN or MSNBC.
That was a good one, Scott.
Thank you very much.
That was a good
Very
one.
quickly, some random blab. Okay, and I only want to mention this one simply because we're at a point where we got about 3 minutes here. You got something else you want to offer?
Have you watched Shang-Chi yet?
No.
The Marvel. It's actually really good. I think you'd like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Awkwafina's
brilliant in it.
I've been busy.
I don't know if you know who Awkwafina is. The
water person.
No. She's
I drink her water.
She's an Asian actress, but she has a show on Comedy Central called Nora from Queens.
Oh, yeah, okay.
She's hysterical.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she's very good. It's funny. It's light, a lot of action.
Okay. Sounds like the last two Rambo movies. I'll check that out. All right, and here's the last thought, and only because it's the festive holiday season. I took this literally from online, and I just thought it was hilarious in that sardonic, are you fucking kidding me, hilarious way, so I thought I'd share and wrap it up with you, or wrap it up for this week. Quote from the article that I read. If you're thinking about and I'm going to do my radio voice for you because this is what I would do if I was on the radio. If you're thinking about just heading to the woods to chop down your Christmas tree, you should know there are some guidelines you should follow. The U.S. Forest Service says first you should get a permit from the Forest District Office and tree cutting instructions. The office will also provide specific dates, times, and areas where it's okay to cut down trees. For Christmas trees specifically, you must cut it from an area that is at least 200 feet from any mini road or other site, and the trunk must be 6 inches in diameter or less. You're also not allowed to cut the tops off taller trees. The U.S. Forest Service will also provide a tree tag that should be applied to the tree before it's loaded into any vehicle. Here's the moral of the story, as we were talking about federal agencies versus state agencies. If that special someone that you think you're falling for during the Christmas season isn't totally down with you using that dependable fake tree you've been using for the past 20 years, then drop them like a bag of pine needles now. Otherwise, you're going to spend your entire holiday season festively and completely wrapped up in Forest Department red fucking tape.
Are you okay?
Holy shit, it's Christmas.
Are you believing that?
So what do we have? 2 more shows before Christmas?
Well, today's Descent. It's Descent the 8th. So we got 4. Would be the next one would be 15, and then would be 22. Yeah. 2 more.
So the 22nd, we're going to do another music show.
Yes, we will. Actually, you know what? Since the vidcast we don't stream live on Facebook, and we put the show up, and podcasting goes to Podomatic and the other sources. So really, muting is not an issue that it might have been in previous years. So we'll put heads together and decide what we want to do. But yes, to answer your question,
okay,
the Christmas show will be
the 22nd,
and it will be music.
Yes,
Christmas music and Christmas.
No politics free.
No politics, no news. Unless something extraordinarily out, and that's going to be a lot to make that happen. Okay, is out of the way. Anything else you want to go?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Yes, you are. What have I got? One more time. Don't forget that exciting Billie Eilish single.
If I'm getting over you,
nice.
We're just pretending to.
6
yeah,
chords.
I'm not coming home for Christmas.
Yeah, that's enough abuse. We'll be back next week with more of The Blab.
Oh, Christmas tree, I'm singing to a pine tree. Some malady is causing me to serenade a pine tree.
The Blab.